Hey everybody, this is Mark. Today, with Circle of the Dark Mother, we're going to go into detail into the Sumerian ritual, which I'll be doing live at WitchLab and remote via Zoom here in a few weeks, beginning of May. So I don't know when I'll post this. It may have already happened or it may be yet to come. But what I wanted to do is put the detailed ritual. I had put a summary Sumerian ritual, but I wanted to put something a little more detailed. I do want to say too, if you like our content, please like and subscribe. As I go forward, this is not, of course, a total Sumerian ritual from the standpoint of we don't have all the records of all the Sumerian rituals. We have a lot of hymns of what they said and what they asked, but we don't have a lot of descriptions of what they did. There are descriptions of things they used, stones, days of the week, times, astrology. They also used herbs, candles, oils. And I've read a number of scholarly articles that talk about ways that some of the things in the Old Testament that Jewish people did were actually very close to what the Sumerians did with oil and with like Song of Songs, where there's this man saying, speaking to this woman who he says is black and comely. This is actually taken directly from what they would do with rituals with the mother and father gods. So it's very, very similar. So some of what I'm going to do here is based in Jewish Kabbalah. Some of it's based in basic witchcraft, but all of the things that I'm taking as pieces of this all do come from what we know of Sumerian lore. So this is a reconstructionist ritual. It is not a, oh my gosh, I'm duplicating a Sumerian ritual. And it's probably a mix of Sumerian, Akkadian, Assyrian, and Babylonian, because those were the cultures in Mesopotamia that grew out of one another. So there's probably a little bit of a mix. So when I call it a Sumerian ritual, it's really based in that, and it is a reconstruction. So setup. The first thing that's really important is, what am I going to set up for this? So I plan to have 5 altars, an altar in the east, which will have a quartz sphere, a candle, and a Lilith statue, and then holy water on it. And holy water will be blessed to Lilith from her altar, not Catholic holy water. In this direction, it will be Lilitu, she who comes by wind, and she represents Saturn and cycles of things like reincarnation, cycles of the year, and so on. The altar in the west will have black citrine sphere, a candle, a more demonic Lilith statue. I haven't picked which one, so that's why I just described it like this, because the west, being the aspect of Lilith I'm using, is a much darker one. There will also be holy oil. The west will be Labasu, not to be compared with Almashtu. She's not the same. Her epitaph is she who comes at night, and she will represent Mars and Jupiter. Altar in the south will be rosy quartz sphere, candle, a Sumerian Lilith statue, one of a couple I have, and herbs. And I will pick the herbs based on what we're trying to do and based on what they had available in Sumer. In the south, it'll be Ardet Lily, she who is the handmaiden of night, and she will represent Mercury and Venus. Altar in the north, amethyst sphere, a candle, the Sumerian beast goddess, and there'll be paper and pens. In the north, it'll be Kalili, she who comes in the window, which is earth and the moon. And in the center, I'm going to have a crystal skull, which I'm going to place lapis stones in the eye sockets. Lapis was very, very sacred in Sumer, and the blue quality being something that they didn't find in a lot of sources. So I'm putting those in the eye sockets of the crystal skull. There'll be a big candle, and I'm going to use one of my more seductive Lilith statues because of who is in the center, specifically Katesh and Lilitu. So down will be Katesh, she who brings pleasure, which will be Neptune. Up will be Omaroka, she who formed all things, for Ceres. And the center will be Beruritu, she who is the dusk, and she'll be the sun. I have a Lilith Athame, which I will put on that altar, and there will be a vessel to make a witch's bottle. all the ingredients are spread out among the other altars. So prep and banishing. So someone, me or someone else, will walk counterclockwise around the ritual space, taking burning incense or sage, and they will say, I cast out anything that is in this space that is not here for the purpose of our great mother Lilitu. With her power and direction, you must leave and harm none. And they'll keep doing this till they feel like it's cleared. After that's done, I'm going to carry the central statue out in a ceremonial fashion and place it on the central altar. Someone will hand out paper and pens to everyone, and they will write down a wish for blessing, for a transformation for them or our society. The purpose of this ritual is going to be all about transformation, blessings, and changing ourselves and the world. I will then start the circle. The incense will be placed on the altar, and I will pick up the athame. I'll go to the east and hold the wand. Well, in this case, it's going to be an athame. I'm not doing a wand. Straight out in that direction and say, Lilitu, she who comes by air, we beseech you to come into our presence and fill this space. Then I'll go to the south and hold the athame straight out in that direction and say, Ardat Lily, she who is the hand of Lila, we beseech you to come in our presence and fill this space. I'll go to the west and hold the athame straight out in that direction and say in a loud voice, Labasu, she who comes at night, we beseech you to come into our presence and fill this space. Then I'll go to the north and hold the athame straight out in that direction and say in a loud voice, Kalili, she who is in the window, we beseech you to come into our presence and fill this space. To complete the sphere, I'll go to the center of the space facing east and hold the athame down and say in a loud voice, Katesh, she who brings desire, we beseech you to come into our presence and fill this space. I'll stay in the center, and facing east, but I'll hold the wand up and say in a loud voice, Omoroka, she who formed all things, we beseech you to come into our presence and fill this space. And then I'll stay in the center, but I'll face west and hold the athame straight ahead and say in a loud voice, Baruratu, she who is the dusk, we beseech you to come into our presence and fill this space. At this point, I'll put the athame back on the altar. I'll stand in the center of the room, initially facing east. I'll extend my hands and I'll slowly turn clockwise as an invocation. Lilitu, great goddess of night and passion, we call you into this place and this time, asking you to grace us with your darkness. We are your children, your hands and feet in this world. Come and bless us with your presence. And then I'm going to make a looping arc and go get the holy water and bring it to the altar. Then I'm looping arc and go get the holy oil and bring it to the altar. And a looping arc and bring the herbs to the central altar. And then I'll say, we give these offerings to you as a token of our esteem and our love. These represent the true offering, which is ourselves, to be your vessels in the material world. Then we'll do the magic. Each person will come up and bring their request, which will be written on paper. I will anoint them with oil, which was done quite regularly in Mesopotamia, and I will ululate Lilitu, which sounds a little bit like, I'm not going to do it fully, but it sounds a little bit like, I have each person then put their paper in the bottle. When that's all done, I'll add the holy water, the holy oil, and the herbs to the bottle. I'll close it, put a candle on top of the bottle and light it. And then I'll bless and invoke Lilith to process the blessings. I don't know what I'm going to say there exactly, but when I do, I will ask that if any request would hurt someone, that it be mitigated or negated. Then Thanksgiving. I'll face the altar and say, we thank you and praise you, Mother Lilitu. And I'll open the floor to anyone who wishes to give praise. When everyone's done, I'll face them and say, we serve you in the world and thank you for your blessings and grace. So it is spoken, so it is done. And then we close the sphere, which is picking up the athame and doing the reverse, where first I release Baruritu, Omaraka, and Katesh from the center, and then I will release Kalili, Labasu, Ardat Lili, and Lilitu. I will lay the athame back on the altar, and the ritual will be complete. It's real hard to get a sense for something when you're hearing it read like this instead of actually done. This will be done in a very large space at WitchLab. It's a new area that they've got to do events. It's very large and it's dark, with a beautiful dark blue ceiling. It's very Gothic looking. And we will have all of these altars and people's participation. And if it's based on, I have not done this particular ritual in a group before, but based on what I know of these kind of rituals, it will be very powerful. So hopefully I'll see some of you there, or you'll be online watching. If not, you'll get a feel for it from this. Thank you.